Ladies and gentlemen, we did it. Pat yourself on the back. You did it. You survived another week of Brown's stupidity and drama. And never once did you have to ask, what the elf was that?
You're listening to the What the Elf Was That podcast, an iconoclastic look at the latest Cleveland Browns news. The What the Elf Was That podcast is part of the Fanatical Elves podcast network, a part of the Fans First Sports Network. Here's your host, Joel Cade.
Welcome back to another edition of What the Elf Was That? Well, ladies and gentlemen, another week is in the books. And I don't know. I feel like that Adam Sandler movie where it's like, and we are all now dumber for having lived it. A lot going on with the Browns. A lot of things just like, why is this news? But I understand, ladies and gentlemen, we are at that point in the NFL where it just kind of all dries up for 3 months. And it's hard to believe that in 3 months, the season will be starting. Actually, the season will start in 4 months. But in 3 months, we'll at least be getting preseason games. So we're just in this period of the dark times, the dearth of what's happening. But we did have some stuff go on. So let's get right into this. The Browns this week have unveiled jersey numbers for the 2025 draft class and all the other new additions, right? So let's dive in to their digits and the stories behind them. All right. So the rookie numbers. Let's just start with the rookie numbers. So I'm not going to get into the veteran numbers except for one, and you know what I'm talking about if you're following along. All right, rookie numbers. Dillon Gabriel will choose number 5. Now, he did wear number 8 in college, but number 8 is taken by Kenny Pickett. And because that's not available, Dillon Gabriel with number 5. We're going to skip the other quarterback. Quinshon Judkins wears number 10. Normally he wore number 1. I'm not sure who else has got number 1, but it's not Quinshon Judkins. Dylan Sampson, the draft pick out of Tennessee, is now wearing number 22. Tight end Harold Fannin Jr. is wearing number 88. Linebacker Carl Schlesinger, the first pick of the second round, is wearing number 45. And Mason Graham, hailed as the gift from the football gods, is wearing number 94. And I immediately saw when these came out, somebody asked, hey, are you going to buy a Mason Graham jersey? And somebody who knows me, that's a good question to ask me, right? But I'm not going to buy a Mason Graham jersey right now. What I'm going to do is I'm going to keep rocking the number 75. For those of you who have visual can see my number 75 left guard, Joel Bitonio. As I am Joel, a.k.a. the left guard, I must rock the left guard Joel Bitonio's jersey because it is a masterpiece of jerseyness. And Joel Bitonio is the man. How many times in my lifetime am I going to get a chance to rock a jersey of a left guard named Joel? I mean, come on, Joel Bitonio. But Joel Bitonio has talked about retiring before, so if he happens to actually do it, I am going to switch to Mason Graham. He is going to be my dude. If he's still wearing 94, I don't know, because that gets to my next point. When buying a rookie's jersey, be careful, because these numbers are subject to change. For example, let's say, for whatever reason, Kenny Pickett's not on the team. Well, I'm sure Dillon Gabriel is going to step up to the plate and say, I want number 8. Then all of a sudden, number 5 becomes available. Or Mason Graham, who likes number 55. Let's say Ethan Posick, whatever, gets traded, decides to retire. I'm sure Mason Graham's going to want to step up to the plate and grab 55. So you never know. You never know what's happening here. Okay? Be careful buying rookie jerseys. Speaking of buying rookie jerseys, it has come out that Shedeur Sanders, quarterback Shedeur Sanders, who, by the way, will be rocking number 12, headed into rookie minicamp, number 12. Tom Brady's number 12. That his jersey, the number 2 Shedeur Sanders jersey, has been the top-selling rookie jersey since the NFL draft. That should tell you everything you need to know about Shedeur Sanders. He has a following. He is a celebrity. He's coming into the NFL draft as an already a talent that everybody wants to look at. Now, whether his talent on the football field matches his celebrity off the field, we're about to find out. But at this point, people are buying the jersey. So for him to come out with number 12, I'm sure is going to upset people. And what has further upset people was the fact that number 2 was taken by free agent signee DeAndre Carter, who I believe is the son of Chris Carter, Troy, Ohio's very own Chris Carter. I'm going to verify that real quick. Who should I ask? As I'm doing this, I will point out that why would DeAndre Carter want number 2? And I think the answer here is pretty obvious. DeAndre Carter has never worn number 2 in his entire career. He's worn a mishmash of numbers. He wasn't. Okay, so he is not the son of Chris Carter. I thought he was. Apparently he's not. So DeAndre Carter has worn a myriad of numbers, including number 11, number 10. I believe he's worn number 10. Everything but number 2. So why would a veteran who would get priority over rookies take number 2? Think about it. Okay, Shedeur Sanders has built his brand on number 2. You know, the dollar sign with a squared with a 2 on it. He, in my opinion, wants to hold number 2 hostage over Shedeur Sanders and get a payday out of this, because it is well known that if a person comes in, particularly a veteran comes in, and the number is taken, that they will buy him a Rolex or some cash or something they want to get that number from that other player so they can use it themselves. And these quarterbacks are coming in. Some of these players are coming in as already international celebrities or national celebrities and have the cash to pay for that number. I do believe DeAndre Carter is holding this number hostage. I would be surprised if it comes into the season and Shedeur Sanders is not wearing number 2. Okay, now because the NFL has numbers assigned to certain positions, Shedeur Sanders cannot wear 21 like Deion Sanders did. However, but if you're old like me, and you can remember when Deion Sanders was but a cornerback at Florida State, he did wear number 2. So number 2 was his number, and when Deion came in, he couldn't wear number 2, so he ended up wearing 21, which, by the way, Shiloh Sanders, who was smart enough to hire an agent, apparently Shedeur wasn't, but who was smart enough to hire an agent, is currently rocking the number 21, I believe, with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. But we'll see. So this leads us to the question, why are all these people upset? Well, if you go out and spend $150 on a jersey of number 2 that says Sanders on the back, yeah. You also got, everything that goes on. This, I'm going to take a little pause here on Shedeur Sanders just because I think it's important. I actually covered the Cleveland Browns when Johnny Manziel was drafted by the Browns. It was a dark, dark time. And I remember that draft. And I remember, Jimmy Haslam talking about the homeless guy and how the homeless guy told him to draft number 2, Johnny Manziel. With the 21st overall pick or 22nd overall pick. Shedeur Sanders feels a lot like Johnny Manziel, at least off the field. And let me qualify all this. Shedeur Sanders is a celebrity. Johnny Manziel was a celebrity. Shedeur Sanders loves his money signs, dollar signs, and we all know Johnny Manziel loved the money signs and the dollar signs. I think there's significant differences between these two players. Manziel, I don't think ever wanted to be in Cleveland, didn't put any effort, didn't even try, put on costumes and went to Vegas the night before games. You all know the stories. Shedeur Sanders is out there doing some work, and at least on video, he looks like he's doing the work. Let's hope. 2, I think Shedeur is built to play quarterback in the NFL. I'm not sure Johnny Manziel ever was. Johnny Manziel came from an air raid offense, which is not a read a defense offense. But Shedeur Sanders has a heads up. He's played under center. I don't know if he's called his own plays. We'll see if that happens or if that's something he has to learn. Dylan Gabriel, by the way, it's starting from ground zero. So if I had to rank who's got a better opportunity right now, I think Shador Sanders would have to be ranked above Dylan Gabriel, as Dylan Gabriel has to learn most of the mechanics of playing the position. But back to Shador Sanders. Shador Sanders, like Manziel, is this celebrity. And it seems like low-hanging fruit to just build a podcast around Shador Sanders. It's so easy that it's hard not to. And it's kind of frustrating to me because I think a lot of players are going to get lost in the process. And just to have an idiotic controversy and have Shador Sanders camera guy out there putting out tweets on X about why can't Shador have number 2 and why the Browns give that to DeAndre Carter and blah, blah, blah. DeAndre Carter's a veteran. If he wants number 2, let him have it. Okay, let's just move on. And maybe it's time for Shador Sanders to step away from the limelight of his father and create his own legacy. Stop living in the 2, stop living in 21, stop the whole thing. Create your own brand based on you. That's where we're at. That's what people do when they go to college. They get their degrees. They start their own careers, their own lives. It's this rite of passage. It's now Shador Sanders' time to become Shador Sanders, not son of Deion Sanders, but Shador Sanders. And he needs to make that happen. But I feel like we're going to be talking about Shador Sanders a lot, and he's a 5th-round pick, and this has been a long time on a 5th-round pick. Speaking of stupidity surrounding Shador Sanders, let's move on. A fan, identifying as John Doe, has decided to sue the NFL, claiming emotional distress over Shador Sanders' draft slide, and alleges that negative media reports and biased evaluations have unfairly damaged Sanders' reputation, leading to his fall in the draft, and the plaintiff accuses the NFL of violating antitrust and civil rights laws and are seeking damages of $100 million. So I'm trying to make sense of this lawsuit. Apparently, somebody who doesn't want to be named is suing the NFL for $100 million for damages that they did to somebody else. Oh, no, wait a minute. They're claiming emotional distress over the damage that they claim the NFL did to someone else. It's a wonderful world, people. It's a wonderful world. Good luck to you, John Doe, getting your $100 million. I'm pretty sure this is getting thrown out right from the start. And continuing, speaking of Shador Sanders, everybody seems to have jumped on the bandwagon this week to denounce the Browns for drafting 2 quarterbacks. Although 2 weeks ago, before the draft, all these same people are saying you should just draft this guy, this guy, this guy. Put a whole bunch of rookies in that quarterback room and see what happens. But now that they actually do it and they actually pick the best player available in round 5, Robert Griffin III, former Browns quarterback, and all around, well, just go to his X site and you'll know what all around means. All around guy, Robert Griffin III, has come out criticizing the Browns for drafting Shador Sanders, arguing that putting him in a crowded quarterback room sets him up to fail. All right, Robert Griffin III, here's the issue. You probably think Shador Sanders is worth a 1st-round pick and should be hailed and installed as the Browns' future quarterback now and in the future. But the Browns aren't doing that. They're not playing your game, Robert Griffin III. And if you were any good when you were here, maybe we wouldn't have half these problems. And even though the ground shook under Hugh Jackson's feet when you were playing football, I'm just going to point out that it was Hugh Jackson that said the ground shook when you played quarterback because nobody else was shaking when you were playing quarterback. The Browns are taking shots, right? Shador Sanders fell. There's a reason Shador Sanders fell. It's probably off the field stuff, but there's some on the field concerns for his play. Likes to escape out the back, doesn't have the athleticism to extend plays, or so that's the knock. Doesn't have the big arm. I think his arm is good enough, but doesn't have the big arm. And now Robert Griffin III is operating on the assumption that Shador Sanders is the heir apparent and that I'm putting him into a crowded quarterback room that has Deshaun Watson, Joe Flacco, Kenny Pickett, and Gabriel Gabriel is setting Shedeur Sanders up to fail, as if the whole Browns plan is Shedeur Sanders. I'm sorry, we should get this all straight now. The quarterback room is not built around Shedeur Sanders. The quarterback room is not built to support Shedeur Sanders. Dylan Gabriel was the guy the Browns wanted in the draft. That's who they targeted. Kenny Pickett was the guy that they felt they're taking their shot. Our shot this season is Kenny Pickett. If Kenny Pickett can become a good quarterback, maybe we don't need to draft one in 2026. But now, because Sanders fell, he comes into that room and he has a chance to prove himself at the NFL level. This is not we're installing the new king level that Robert Griffin III wants. Maybe Robert Griffin III needs to understand where Shedeur Sanders' level is at right now. He is on like level 0 and needs to work his way up. Conversely, Tom Brady went on to forget whose podcast it was today. Went on to somebody's podcast and said, he was asked, what advice do you have Shedeur Sanders? And Tom Brady says, hey, look, use this draft slide as motivation to be better. I like Tom Brady. This is I like him for this quote. Okay. This is what Shedeur Sanders needs to do. He needs to just work on things and get better. He's not installed. He's not entitled. He's not going to be given some place in the process, and then everyone has to focus and help him, a la Robert Griffin III. Tom Brady gets it. You're a low draft pick. You have to work your tail off to get somewhere. And speaking of working your tail off, this is time for our break. So after our break, we're going to come back. We're going to check out the proposed release date for the NFL schedule. See you in a minute. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're back. And if you heard all of our advertisements, go to the advertisements page, purchase that stuff, help us to gain some traction, and help me to get paid, man. I'm doing this to get paid. No, I'm teasing. I do it because I love it, and I love all you listening to me, but I don't mind getting paid in the process. But that's not why I do it, because honestly, I don't really get paid enough to do it. Okay, moving on. The NFL made a point in the most awkward announcement ever in the history of announcements. The NFL announced during the NFL draft in a segment. If you haven't had a chance, go look up this segment, right? It's awkward. Like Christine Wolf, I think it was her name, literally looked at them and said, so you're announcing when the schedule is coming out. So the NFL has announced that the 2025 schedule will be released Wednesday, May 14th at 8 p.m. Okay, so what does this mean for us? Well, we already know who the Browns are playing, right? They're going to play the Ravens, the Bengals, and the Steelers twice. From the AFC East, they're playing the Bills and the Dolphins. From the NFC North, actually, there's the home games, The home games, AFC, the Bills and the Dolphins are at home. The Packers and Vikings are at home, playing the Titans at home, and the 49ers at home. On the road, they're playing the Ravens, Bengals, and Steelers. They're going to Chicago to play the Bears. They're going to Detroit to play the Lions. By the way, if you're in Ohio, these are great road trips. They're going to Las Vegas, which is this is like the off season for trips, right? Chicago, Detroit. You can get shot. You can go to. I should just stop there. Go to Las Vegas, go see the Raiders, and they're going to New England and New York to play the Jets. They're going to play the Jets in the worst stadium constructed in history of mankind. Probably half the players will get injured, so let's hope that is at the end of the season. So all the NFL is going to do is announce when teams play those other teams. Now, this actually matters. Okay, one year the Ravens came out. I think this was 2 or 3 years ago. The Ravens got the college football schedule. They played the Texans week 1 with C.J. Stroud as a rookie quarterback. Went on to play the next 4 weeks. So they had 5 games in first 5 weeks of the season, 4 of which were against rookie quarterbacks. And rookie quarterbacks don't figure this stuff out until like 5-6 weeks in. They destroyed these teams. And everybody's like, oh my God, the Ravens are the greatest thing ever. Then turn around, the Browns play the Texans. And when are they playing the Texans? At the end of the season, CJ Stroud has figured it out, and they've become a formidable team, which actually made the playoffs and then beat the Browns in the playoffs. So when you play teams, makes a big deal. If I were to wager, and I'm not a wagering person, I would wager that more money is spent on bribes over the NFL schedule than any other thing that goes on. And by that, I mean the owners. By the way, the last owners of the Redskins, the Commanders, Dan Snyder, actually, like, basically, there was a report in the Washington Post that they were caught bribing officials. Of course, the NFL, like, buried this, so nobody investigated it. But there are reports out there that owners bribe NFL officials, particularly officials on the field. And there are reports that the NFL owners will often bribe people in high positions in the NFL to make things happen the way they want them to happen. And I would think that the schedule, and I swear, John Biscotti, that crap you put in coffee, who owns the Ravens, bribes the schedule maker. They get the best schedules I have ever seen in my life. It is ridiculous. I'll probably see this year's and be mad about it too. They'll probably play some team with a rookie quarterback week 1. Heck, that might even be us. Like, we may have a rookie quarterback week 1 and we're playing the Ravens. Because why? The league wants to set the Ravens up to be successful because they think that's going to give them a chance to get TV ratings or something. It's all a TV show. It's all about ratings. Interesting matchups for the Browns. You've got the Ravens, Bengals, and Steelers. Always big games. High-profile games might be the Bills or the 49ers. Interesting games to me would be the AFC South Tennessee Titans, right? This is where the Browns play the counterpart of the AFC in the position they finished, which was last. The Titans finished last in the AFC South. Therefore, they've got the AFC South team at home against the Titans. That could be an interesting matchup. Depends on what time it's played. If it's a later in the season game, that could be Cam Ward versus Shedeur Sanders. If it's earlier in the season, probably not going to see that matchup. So it really comes down to, where does this come from? Where do these things played out? High profile road trips, Las Vegas. That is going to be a road trip. I think we went to the Vegas either last year or the year before, and I wanted to go out pretty bad. And I didn't get a chance, but this year I'm hoping to get out there to Las Vegas, and we could do a podcast maybe from out there in Las Vegas. Maybe we can have all the showgirls walking by or something. Vegas will be a good time. I'm going to work on getting out there. So, any anticipated games, Browns fans? Do you think there's going to be any games that are going to be on Monday Night Football? We'll be on Thursday Night Football, and maybe that'll be the Titans game. I can see them trying to sell that on Thursday night, because if you're going to watch that on Sunday, nobody's watching that. But Thursday night, when there's no competition, that might be an interesting matchup. Thanksgiving football, Christmas football. I'm not sure the Browns are landing the high-profile gigs, because this is a team that's rebuilding, and it is a team that, there's a lot of rookies in terms of your running backs, rookie tight end, unless Flacco is out there. Maybe Kenny Pickett can run it. I don't know. It's telling that the Browns loaded up on defense, because they're going to need it this year. So the schedule comes out next Wednesday. When we do that, I'm sure I'll have all kinds of what the elf was that rant going for that situation, because I am positive the Browns will get screwed and the Ravens will walk out of there with a cupcake schedule, facing all these rookies in weeks 1 through 5 when they don't have a clue. And Ravens can track up some easy, cheap victories and get themselves set up for the playoffs. Happens every year. Every year. Speaking of the Baltimore Ravens, you know what time it is. It's time for that Ravens Hate segment, our weekly therapy session for those of us who have never gotten past 1995.
I'm actually a Ravens fan.
Go to hell.
Yeah. Go to hell. The Ravens. Now, you heard me last time. It was before the draft, telling the Ravens they should draft a kicker and get this guy, Justin Tucker, out of the situation. Well, guess what they did? They drafted a kicker. They drafted a kicker in the name of Tyler Loop, and then they released Justin Tucker. Now, that might be a great thing, but I also think the Ravens, and the only way the Ravens can do it, did the right thing, but found a way to make it sound like they're not doing the right thing because they're just a straight up trash organization. So let's just recap. Justin Tucker has 16 women now accusing him of various inappropriate sexual behavior during massage sessions. He is also now declining as a kicker, as he is the second highest paid kicker in the NFL with the second highest guaranteed money of a contract in the NFL. And I believe he's the second oldest kicker in the NFL. His field goal percentage dropped, like his ability to kick field goals dropped from 89% to 73%. And he's owed money, and he's highly paid, and he's old. And so the Ravens said, you know what? The combination of old, expensive, declining, and oh, by the way, there's this other thing going out here. So let's just get rid of him. So they did what the Browns have stupidly been doing all these years. And they went out and drafted a kicker. By the way, I wouldn't tell them to do something smart. Drafting a kicker is one of the stupidest things you can do. Kickers don't mature as football players until like their late 20s. You get a 22-year-old on there, he's going to miss this way, that way, and every which way. Might even fall on his face while he's kicking. Might even do that whole Charlie Brown thing where he runs up and then the place kicker or the placeholder thinks he's a jerk and picks the ball up and watches the dude fly in the air and fall on his face. Just like Charlie Brown. Rookie kickers are morons, okay? But they did it. They went and drafted a rookie kicker and they signed an undrafted free agent. I can't help but think that if Justin Tucker was good, he was still kicking at a high level, and he had all these issues, they'd have just kept him. But I think this was their opportunity to cut this guy based on off-field allegations and make it sound like a football decision. Because this is what the Ravens did. They cut Justin Tucker and then came out with a release that said this is a football decision, and then basically apologized for cutting him, and then wished him the best of luck in all of his future endeavors to this Ravens legend, who they cut because he was old, inaccurate, and cost a lot of money. But really, I think if there had not been all these allegations, I think Justin Tucker may have still been on the team because they wouldn't have been able to justify getting rid of one of their kicking legends, quote unquote. But only the Ravens can do the right thing and make it sound like the wrong thing. They cut him because of his allegations, but they come out and they apologize for doing it, and it makes you just want to slap him. Zero tolerance from the Ravens. They can't win in my eyes. Of course they can't, because they're the Ravens. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that wraps up another week of Brown stupidity. We will be back next week to tackle next week's stupidity, and I'm sure it will be just as fascinating given that Shedeur Sanders is still on the team. His issues are low-hanging fruit. Everybody's talking about him, and he's got people out there talking about stupidity. It's almost exhausting, but hey, we'll handle it next time.
Thank you for listening to the What the Elf Was That podcast. Please like, subscribe, and tell all your friends to give a listen. You can follow host Joel Cade on Twitter @TheLeftGuard.